Eala beats Magda Linette to reach ASB Classic semis. Eala defeated Magda Linette 6-3, 6-2 in the quarterfinals of the ASB Classic on Friday in Auckland, New Zealand, to advance to the semifinals of the WTA 250 event. The first set started tight, with Eala and Linette tied at 2-2 before the world number 53 Filipina won 3 consecutive games to take a 5-2 lead. The 33-year-old Polish player, ranked number 52 in the world, managed to hold serve once more, but Eala closed out the set shortly after. The second set was a different story, as Eala raced to a commanding 4-0 lead before Linette won back-to-back games. Eala then recovered from there to secure the straight sets victory. Eala said she was pleased with her continued improvement on tour, particularly against a player of Linette's caliber. Obviously Magda, being such an experienced player, I've had difficulties playing against her before. So I'm happy that I'm seeing my level increase and improve, Eala said in a post-match interview. Eala reached the quarterfinals after victories over Croatia's Donna Vekic and Petra Marcinko in the opening rounds of the tournament. The Filipina ace will next face China's Xinyu Wang in the semifinals. Later today, Eala and her doubles partner, Iva Jovic, will take on China's Yifan Xu and Zhao Xianyang in the doubles semifinals. In 2025, Eala enjoyed a historic season, breaking into the WTA Top 100, capturing her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara, and winning her first Southeast Asian Games gold medal. The A at the ASB Tennis Center carried the familiar Auckland hush, the kind that rolls in from the harbor at dusk, salted with expectation. It was the sort of evening that makes tennis feel less like a sport and more like a story waiting to be told. On one side of the net stood Magda Linette, seasoned, composed, a player shaped by years of tour-level battles. On the other stood Eala, youth braided with resolve, her presence quiet but unmistakably alive. This was not just a quarterfinal. It was a crossing. From the first warm-up strokes, the contrast was clear. Linette moved with the economy of experience, her feet whispering across the court as if she had been here 100 times before. Eala, by contrast, played with a kind of luminous urgency, each swing a declaration, each step forward an argument that she belonged in this moment, on this court, under these lights. The match began the way storms often do, deceptively calm. Rallies stretched and snapped back into place. Linette tested the corners, probing for impatience. Eala answered with depth and daring, her forehand carrying a youthful fearlessness that refused to be tucked away. The crowd leaned in, sensing the tension tighten like a drawn bow. Eala's tennis that night was not loud, but it was brave. She took the ball early, redirecting pace with a clarity that suggested long hours spent imagining moments just like this. When Linette pressed, Eala did not retreat. She met pressure with presence, absorbing the weight of expectation and sending it back across the net with interest. There is a particular beauty in watching an underdog realize, mid-match, that the door is open. It happened somewhere between a perfectly timed backhand pass and a hold of serve that seemed to last an age. Eala's shoulders loosened. Her eyes sharpened. The rallies no longer felt like tests but conversations she knew how to finish. Linette, sensing the shift, raised her level, drawing on her experience to steady the ship. But tennis, like life, does not always reward seniority. Sometimes it rewards audacity. As the match unfolded, Auckland became more than a venue. It became a witness. The night air grew cooler, the lights brighter, as if the court itself wanted to illuminate what was happening. Every point carried weight. Every changeover felt like a breath held too long. Eala's serve, once merely functional, found new conviction. Her returns landed deep, asking questions Linette could not always answer. And when errors came, as they always do, Eala did not flinch. She nodded, reset, and played the next point as if the previous one had never existed. It was the kind of mental discipline that belied her age and hinted at a future still unfolding. Linette fought with the grace of a professional who understands that no match is ever truly lost until the final ball is struck. She varied pace, approached the net, demanded precision. But Eala matched her stride for stride, point for point, refusing to let the moment become too heavy to carry. When the final exchange arrived, it did not feel sudden. It felt earned. A rally unfolded, measured, deliberate, until Eala found an opening and took it, her shot skimming past Linette with just enough margin to be brave. The ball kissed the line. The point was hers. The match was hers. and with it came something larger than a place in the ASB Classic Semifinals. For a brief second, there was stillness. Then the realization washed over her. Eala looked up, her expression caught between disbelief and quiet joy. There was no wild celebration, no theatrical release, just a smile that carried years of sacrifice, early mornings, long flights, and the faith of people watching from far away. She raised her hand in acknowledgement, not just to the crowd, but to the journey that had brought her here. This victory was not an ending. It was an announcement. For Filipino tennis, it felt like a spark didn't just fly, it stayed lit. For young players watching, it was proof that stages once thought distant could, in fact, be reached. And for Eala herself, it was a reminder that she could stand across from experience and not be diminished by it. The ASB Classic Semifinals awaited, but that night in Auckland belonged to the moment itself, the kind that lingers long after the lights dim and the court is cleared. It belonged to a young woman who trusted her game, honored her work, and stepped through a door that opened because she dared to knock.